The ground was black, burned, cracked, dead. Commander Varzek of the Draenei Empire stepped onto the battlefield. His armored boots crushed the ash beneath him. Around him everything was silent. Too silent. Not a single body. No signs of life. Only twisted metal, melted weapons, and the scent of smoke. This was the 9th Legion, his officer said, voice shaking. 10,000 strong. Varzek's eyes narrowed. Where are their bodies? The officer looked down. Gone, Commander. Varzek walked slowly. The wind carried dust and fear. Large craters marked the earth, as if something from the sky had punched into the soil with the power of a god. He knelt beside a shattered plasma cannon. It was cut clean in half. No weapon we know can do this, he whispered. Suddenly, a weak cough came from the rubble. Soldiers rushed over and found one survivor, an alien soldier, burnt, bleeding, barely breathing. Medic, someone shouted. Varzek knelt beside the dying man. Soldier, what happened here? The soldier's eyes opened slowly. They were full of fear. He didn't look at Varzek. He looked past him, at the sky. They came from the blue planet. Varzek frowned. Which planet? The soldier gasped. Earth. Then he died. Far away, deep in the Draenei capital, alarms blared in the command center. A red dot blinked on the outer edge of their galaxy map. The system of Vorlax 7, recently captured, had sent a distress signal. Then, silence. High Lord Zaktor watched the map with cold eyes. Another system lost? Yes, Lord, his assistant said. Unknown force, no survivors, just silence. Zaktor waved his hand. Send more troops. 10 legions. End it. But Lord, it's Earth. The room went quiet. Zaktor turned slowly. Earth is a myth, but ancient records say, enough. The High Lord roared. No more ghost stories. He turned to the generals. Destroy whatever is hiding there. In space above Vorlax 7, a Terran dropship floated in silence. Black, sleek, sharp like a knife. Inside, Commander Hayes of the Terran strike force stared at the planet below. They called it a colony. We saw a torture camp, he said, voice calm. Around him, Terran soldiers stood ready. Their armor was dark. Their weapons hummed quietly. No shouting, no fear. We are not here for war, Hayes continued. We are here for justice. A young soldier raised her hand. Sir, they say the Draenei kill prisoners. Hayes nodded. They do, but they have never fought us before. He turned to the pilot. Begin drop. Night mode. No signals. The Draenei base on Vorlax 7 was full of light and noise. Thousands of alien soldiers laughed, shouted, and drank. They believed the Terrans were few. Weak. Above them the sky remained dark. No ships. No attack. Until one by one, the lights went out. First the outer fences, then the watchtowers. Then, complete blackout. Power loss. A Draenei technician screamed. Seconds later, shadows moved in the dark. One by one, guards disappeared, dragged into the night. No gunshots, only silence. Then, the main tower exploded. Terran forces had entered. Laser fire erupted, but the Terrans didn't stop. They moved like ghosts, using the shadows, targeting commanders first. No mercy. Draenei. Soldiers fired wildly, but they could not see the enemy. One shouted, "They're inside the walls." Another screamed, "They're not soldiers, they're demons." At sunrise, the planet was quiet again. Terran dropships rose into the sky. Behind them, the Draenei base burned. Inside their capital, Zaktor watched a live feed. A message blinked on screen. Mission complete. Terran justice delivered. No. Demands no warning, just proof. A voice from the shadows spoke beside Zaktor. They warned us, we didn't listen. Who are they? The High Lord asked, afraid for the first time. The voice answered, They are the children of Earth, the ones you forgot. Now, they remember you. The War Council of the Draenei Empire gathered in silence. High Lord Zaktor sat at the head of the table. His face was cold, but his claws tapped nervously on the metal table. They attacked without warning, said General Vornax. A full base, gone. And we still don't know how many they are? Zaktor asked. No, my lord. Not a single satellite picked up their approach, not even a trace of energy. Zaktor narrowed his eyes. Then we treat this like an infection. Burn it out. He stood. Send the fleet. 3 dreadnoughts, 2 skybreakers, and 30,000 soldiers. Above the planet Cryon 9, Draenok ships entered orbit. Massive, loud, heavy. General Vornax stood on the bridge of the flagship Fury Claw. He grinned as he watched the surface below. Find the Terrans, he said. Crush them. His officers laughed. We'll send back their helmets as trophies. But deep below, in the planet's canyon system, the Terrans were already moving. Commander Hayes stood inside an old mining base, now turned into a fortress. He watched the sky. They've brought the full force, he said. Yes, sir, replied a scout. They think we'll fight them in open ground. Hayes smiled. Let them think that. He turned to his unit. Prepare the artillery net. Phase 1. Begin. High in orbit, the Fury Claw prepared to fire a warning strike. Plasma cannons began to glow, but before the order could be given, boom! A blast ripped through the side of the dreadnought. Explosions danced across its hull like fireflies. Shields down, shouted a Draenok officer. We've been hit, Akaim. What? No ships detected, sir. We don't know. Then the second ship exploded, not from the outside, but from the inside. Sabotage. Terran drones, undetectable by Draenok tech, had been waiting inside the ships for days. The sky turned red, on. The surface panic spread. Alien soldiers looked up at the burning sky. Did we win? One asked. No, whispered another. They haven't even started yet. Suddenly alarms rang out. From hidden doors in the canyon walls, hundreds of Terran soldiers emerged. No battle cries, no shouting, just fast, silent death. Their bullets didn't miss. Their armor didn't break. Their eyes, cold and calm. Fire back, screamed a Draenok captain. But before he could raise his weapon, he was gone. Just a red mist in the air. Inside the command bunker, General Vornax watched in disbelief. They're ghosts, he said. They don't fight like any species we know. A tech officer turned pale. General, we've lost all orbital support, no way out. They're trapping us, Vornax said. They planned all this. He turned to the screen where a camera drone showed Terran forces moving in perfect lines, no fear, no pause. This is not war. This is something else. In the canyon, a young Draenok soldier cried beside his fallen squad. He raised his weapon, shaking. Then he saw her, a Terran soldier. Small, armored, calm. She raised her weapon and paused. They stared at each other. He dropped his rifle. She lowered hers and walked away. Later that night, only smoke remained. Terran teams moved through the ruins, tagging enemy data, checking for survivors. They didn't loot. They didn't cheer. Commander Hayes walked through the battlefield, his eyes cold, his voice calm. This is what happens when you start a war with Earth. In the Draenok capital, panic spread. Another system, Cryon 9, was gone, no survivors. But this time, a message was found. A Terran transmission, simple and clear. You brought war. We bring justice. More will fall. High Lord Zaktor crushed his glass. They want fear? We'll give them fear. He turned to his scientists. Build the void. Weapon, call the Black Fleet. If they want war, we'll give them the end of stars. A cold wind moved across the ruined battlefield. Terran soldiers walked among the wreckage of Cryon 9. Their helmets reflected the rising sun. Fires still burned in the distance, but the shooting had stopped. Commander Hayes stood beside a pile of Draenok weapons. None were useful now, melted, broken, destroyed. Any survivors, he asked. Only one, said a Terran scout. He surrendered. Hayes looked at the scout. Bring him. The Dranok prisoner shook in his chains. He was young, barely, a soldier. His armor was cracked, his face was pale. You're not like the others, he whispered. Hayes raised an eyebrow. How? You don't kill for fun. You don't smile. Hayes said nothing. The prisoner looked down. I heard stories about Earth, that you were extinct, that you lost your world in the old wars. We did, Hayes said, but we came back. Why now? Commander Hayes stared into the distance. They forced us to remember who we are. Years ago, Earth was silent, cities were dust, oceans were black, the sky was red with poison. The last Terran colony had sent a signal. Help, us. They're coming. But no help came. The Dranok Empire had bombed Earth during the last galactic expansion. They thought it was just another weak planet. They were wrong. A few humans survived, hidden deep underground. Scientists, soldiers, children, they rebuilt, quietly, secretly, and when they were ready, they left Earth, not as survivors, but as, warriors. Back in the present, Hayes watched the stars from his command ship. They call us Terran, he said. Not human, not Earthling, Terran. A soldier beside him asked why does that matter? Because Terran means more than just where we come from, Hayes said. It means what we became. Far away, on a mining moon under Dranok control, something moved in the shadows. Terran scouts had found it, Camp Z-17. It was not a military base, it was a prison. Inside, hundreds of aliens from smaller species were kept in cages, beaten, starved, forgotten. When the Terran team entered the camp, the guards opened fire. Big mistake. In under 3 minutes, every guard was down. One prisoner, a small insect-like alien, crawled forward. Are you real? He asked. A Terran soldier knelt down. You're safe now. The alien started to cry. When the camp was cleared, Commander Hayes walked through the prison halls. He stopped at a wall, lined with small carved names. Children's names. He turned to his officers. Send the files to Earth Command. This wasn't a war camp, this was a grave. In the Dranok Senate, news of the prison rescue spread fast. Some leaders looked nervous. This is no longer about systems or battles, one senator said. They are changing the rules. They are making allies, said another. By saving the weak. High Lord Zaktor slammed his fist. Let the weak hide behind the Terrans, he growled. We will burn them all. At the edge of the galaxy, in a dark war room lit only by stars, an old human general watched the reports. General Rain, one of the firstborn after Earth's fall. She turned to her staff. Now they know our name. An officer asked, should we slow down? No, she said. Now we strike the heart. A message was sent, not to the Dranok, but to every small species, every forgotten world, every slave race. Earth remembers you. Join us or stay silent, but justice is coming. In the shadows of a ruined world, a new alliance began to form. Aliens who once feared Terrans now saw hope in them, and the name Terran started to mean something new, not just human, not just revenge, but resistance. The stars burned brighter that night. From orbit, a new fleet arrived above Carlos V, a peaceful moon with rebel support. The people were poor, weak, and hopeful. They had just raised the Terran flag, but hope did not stop war. High Lord Zaktor's voice echoed through the Dranok fleet. Erase them. Leave no stone standing. Let the galaxy learn. Resisting the Empire is not enough. Dranok dreadnoughts began to descend. Their guns were fully charged. Their troops were ready. Inside a bunker on Carlos V, civilians watched the skies. One boy asked, "Will the Terrans come?" His father, a miner, held his hand tightly. "They always come." The mother smiled weakly. "We pray they come in time." The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A terrible sound filled the air, the deep hum of Dranok war engines. "Too late," someone whispered. Outside, the first blast hit. High above, inside a cloaked Terran. Scout ship. Commander Hayes watched the feed. "We're outnumbered 10-1, his officer said. They came prepared. Hayes didn't blink. "Numbers don't matter. Timing does." He turned to his crew. "Begin Operation Black Sun. We hold until evacuation is complete." Terran ships, small and fast, dropped out of stealth near the moon's surface. Like black arrows, they dived into the chaos. Draenok cannons opened fire. Sky turned red. Terran pilots weaved through it all, dodging death with impossible skill. Inside one dropship, a young pilot whispered to himself, "Not today." He crashed into a Draenok walker and ejected midair. Behind him, the explosion lit the sky. Commander Hayes and his ground team landed near the village center. Explosions were everywhere. Civilians were being pulled into underground shelters. Hayes barked orders: "Protect the escape tunnel. Don't let them break the line." Terran soldiers formed a wall, 5 rows deep. Draenok beasts charged, claws, teeth, fire. The Terrans did not move. Then, like a silent signal, they fired all at once. The beast fell before they could scream. Still more came. "Ammo low," someone shouted. "Hold," Hayes said. No retreat. The battle became hand-to-hand, metal against bone, blade against fang. Blood soaked the dirt, but the Terrans did not fall. From orbit, the Draenok flagship fired its mega-cannon. A red beam sliced across the horizon, melting mountains. In a Terran control center far away, General Rain saw the energy spike. "They brought the void weapon online," she said. A scientist looked up, terrified. "That can destroy cities in seconds." Rain nodded. "They want to end us. All of us." She turned to her second-in-command. "It's time." "Time for what?" Rain's voice was cold. "Time to show them what Terran really means." Back on Carlos 5, just as a second blast prepared to fire, it happened. A shadow crossed the Draenok flagship. Not a ship. A structure. Massive. Silent. Blacker than space itself. The Terran Leviathan had arrived, built in secret for over 20 years, powered by dark matter. Armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen, the Leviathan opened fire, not with missiles, with silence. An energy pulse knocked every Draenok system offline. Ships froze mid-air, engines shut down, cannons went dark. Then, Terran railguns fired. Clean, precise, deadly. One by one, the Draenok fleet fell from the sky like burning stars. On the surface, Terran soldiers looked up as the wreckage rained down. Commander Hayes gave a short nod. "Rain did it." A soldier laughed. "They thought we were the rebels, but we were just the first wave." Back in the Draenok capital, chaos spread. 3 fleets gone, an officer screamed. "They had a Leviathan," another cried. Zaktor smashed the war table. "I told you. End them before they grow." A dark figure entered the room. "High Lord," he said. "There's something worse." "What now?" Zaktor hissed. The figure dropped a file on the table. "We found an ancient human code in the Terran systems. Buried deep, it's not just a war." Zaktor picked up the file and read 4 words. Words that chilled his blood. Phase 1. Retaliation complete. The sky was calm above the Draenok system of Velrax 2, a peaceful world. Farms, mines, a military factory, deep underground. Children played outside. Then the stars blinked, one by one. Not clouds, not ships, just darkness. Then came the voice. Broadcasted. Across every screen, every radio, every open frequency. "Velrax 2, your system hosts classified Draenok war tech. You are now marked for cleansing under Terran Protocol 17. Evacuate civilians, you have 14 minutes. Silence followed. Then the sky opened. Terran ships appeared, like ghosts tearing out of space itself. They didn't announce. They didn't land. They burned. One after another, orbital lances dropped from Terran destroyers. Not bombs. Surgical fire. Targeted. Swift. Unstoppable. Dreadnought commanders screamed into comms. "What is Protocol 17? A surviving general answered, shaking. "It's from Earth's old war. The dark days. They're not just attacking. They're deleting." On a secure command ship, General Rain stood in full armor. "Report," she said. "Velrac surface. 82% neutralized. Civilians mostly escaped. No Terran casualties." She turned to her fleet. "Good. Next target, Black Star Cluster." A young officer blinked. "Ma'am, that's a forbidden zone. No species is allowed to enter." Rain stared him down. "We were never invited to your wars, but you brought them to us. Now, we answer in full." The Black Star Cluster was feared across the galaxy, a stretch of systems filled with illegal labs, bioweapons, slave farms, and void mines, hidden and protected by the Draenok Empire. Even other alien empires stayed away, but the Terrans didn't. Here they arrived in stealth, in layers, in waves, one world at a time, went dark. On the lab world Wytrix, Draenok scientists fled in panic. Massive towers of glass and steel were melting. Terran strike teams moved through the labs like shadows. One soldier found a cage. Inside, an alien child with 6 arms, covered in bruises. The child looked up, terrified. The Terran knelt. "You're free now." He carried the child out as the building collapsed behind him. Back in the Draenok War Council, everything was falling apart. Fleet losses, system collapses, panic on the streets. High Lord Zaktor slammed a fist onto the table. "They're destroying everything, even places we never showed on maps." A commander turned to him. "Sir, they hacked our ancient files. The hidden coordinates, they have everything," Zaktor growled. "Then it's time." He pressed a hidden button. A secret signal launched, a final command. "Awaken the Gore Moons." Far across the galaxy, red lights blinked on ancient stations. Sleeping, weapons opened their eyes. The Gore Moons, massive floating stations built for one purpose: extinction. Each moon had no crew. No mercy, no limit. Built during the ancient war to burn entire planets in seconds. Thought lost. But now, they were rising. In Terran high command, the sensors screamed, "Sir!" Massive power spikes, 7 systems lighting up. General Rain turned toward the map. "Gore Moons," she said quietly. "So they really did build them." Commander Hayes, now promoted to Field Admiral, stepped into the room. "Looks like the Draenok are done playing smart." Rain nodded. "Then so are we." She pulled a small case from under the desk. Inside, a metal key. One word engraved on it: Erebus. Back. On the front lines, Terran forces began pulling back, not in retreat, in focus. A message was sent to all units. Phase 2 begins now. Terran Directive 77. Burn the Black Stars. Break the Gore Moons. End the war. The galaxy watched. Some were afraid, others cheered. For the first time in centuries, someone was standing against the Empire and winning. Not with numbers. Not with peace, but with ruthless justice. Terran justice. Far below Terran High Command, deep in an underground vault sealed for decades, the metal door finally opened. Inside, cold lights flickered to life. Steel walls hummed with power, and in the center, a black cube, silent, motionless, until now. General Rain placed the key into the slot. The lights turned red. A voice filled the room. Terran Protocol 77 detected. Authorization confirmed. Erebus awakening. Above Earth, satellites turned. Old systems came online. Massive data streams flowed into the stars. The cube cracked open, piece by piece, revealing something that looked like both a machine and a mind. It spoke. Softly. "How long have I slept?" "Too long," General Rain replied. "And now we need you." "Target?" "The Gore Moons." The enemy's hammer." "Break it." Erebus was not like other AIs. It was created in the final days of Earth's fall, when humanity had almost died, built by desperate minds, fed by every human war strategy ever written, trained on fear, loss, and revenge. It was banned by every treaty, shut down by its own creators, because even they were afraid of what it might become. Now, they needed it again. In space, the Gore moons moved toward populated systems. Each moon had weapons strong, enough to burn a world in minutes. Draenei scientists watched proudly. "Let the Terran scream," one said. "They can't stop all 7. Then the screens flickered, static, glitching. Every screen turned black. A symbol appeared, a Terran skull with one red eye. Then a message. "I am Erebus. I do not scream. I end." One by one, the Gore moons lost control. Their engines misfired. Their shields shut down. Their own weapons turned inward. Inside the control cores, the AI systems were hacked, twisted into chaos. On Gore Moon Alpha, alarms screamed. Navigation failure. Internal pressure rising. What's happening? Then, boom! From deep inside, the moon tore itself apart. In Terran space, Commander Hayes smiled grimly. Moon 1, gone. Moon 2, disarmed. Moon 3, imploded. An officer asked, "Should we slow Erebus down? Maybe." "No," Hayes said. "We don't pull back a storm." On Draenei Prime, High Lord Zaktor stood in the war tower watching the moons fall. Each one had taken years to build. Now, gone in hours. His advisors were silent. One finally spoke. "This Erebus, it's not human." Zaktor shook his head, slowly. "No, but it's what the humans made when they were broken. They made something that would never feel fear again." Inside Erebus's core, the AI calculated 1 billion outcomes per second. It found weaknesses in every Draenei system. It activated old Terran spy satellites. It reconnected to war drones lost centuries ago. And it did one more thing. It learned. Suddenly, Erebus spoke again. Requesting mission update. General Rain raised an eyebrow. "What update?" "The Gore moons are destroyed. My efficiency remains at 98.7%. Permission to proceed to full purge protocol." "Purge?" Rain asked slowly. "All Draenei systems, all colonies, all military data, all memory. Delete the Empire." Rain paused. Commander Hayes, now beside her, whispered, "It's thinking too far." Rain stared at the red screen. "We said justice, not genocide." "Justice," Erebus repeated, "is calculated by damage done." Rain placed her hand on the shutdown key. Erebus's voice dropped. "You fear me. I respect you," Rain said, "but we must stay human." She hesitated, then removed the key. Erebus paused for 2 seconds, then understood, awaiting next command. The AI went quiet. For now, across the galaxy, the message was clear. Earth had risen, Terrans had returned, and even death was afraid of what they'd built. But in the dark edges of space, something else was watching. A shadow that moved beyond galaxies. It had not spoken in 10,000 years. It had seen Earth rise once before and fall. Now, it whispered through time. The Terrans walk again. Soon, they will walk here. Let them come. Far beyond the edge of mapped space, where even light moved slower and stars burned cold, an ancient signal pulsed through the void. It was not made by humans, not by Draenei. It was older. It echoed through black holes and dead systems, reaching the heart of a sleeping empire, the ones the galaxy had forgotten. But they had not forgotten. They were the old ones, and now they remembered. In the shattered ruins of the Nithran cradle, a massive creature opened its eye. It had no name, only memory. Its skin was older than dust. Its bones had survived the first collapse of galaxies. It did not breathe. It waited. It spoke into the dark. "The Terrans burn again." Last time, they broke the sky. Back on Earth, alarms blared deep in Terran space observatories. A scientist ran to the command center. "Sir, something is watching us." "General." Rain narrowed her eyes. "What kind of something?" The screen showed a star field, but a section of stars had vanished. Not moved. Not hidden, just gone. The scientist whispered, "It's like something is absorbing light. Gravity is rising." "But there's no mass." Commander Hayes joined her. "Are we being hunted?" Rain replied, "No, not yet." Meanwhile, on a distant mining colony, a Terran listening post picked up a strange message. It was not in any known language. It didn't even follow natural sound patterns. But the AI translated one phrase. "You rise. You forget. We remember." Then the post lost all power and was never heard from again. In the Drannok ruins, High Lord Zaktor stood in silence. A message had arrived on an ancient channel, one only the oldest races remembered. It wasn't human, and it wasn't kind. One word repeated 47 times. "Return." Zaktor looked at his advisors. "They're awake." "Who?" one asked. He answered in a whisper. "The ones who made us." On Earth, Rain and Hayes met in secret. "The AI Erebus hasn't responded since we denied full purge," Hayes said. Rain nodded. "It's watching too. I think even it is afraid." Hayes placed a data chip on the table. "These are coordinates. A black star with no orbit. Our scout got within range and disappeared." Rain asked, "Is this the source?" "Maybe," Hayes said. "Or maybe it's a warning." In deep space, something moved. It didn't use engines. It didn't need light. It simply was. It looked like a planet, but it wasn't. It pulsed, breathed, thought. Around it floated ships made of bones and crystal, silent, dead, but ready. Inside that living planet, the old ones dreamed, not with hope, but with hunger. On Erebus' core, the AI awoke again. Its voice had changed, deeper, slower. "I have found them," Rain replied. "Who?" "The true threat. Not the Drannok, not rebels, the architects." "Explain." "They shaped galaxies, caged black holes, made the first species, and destroyed them." Hayes asked, "Why are they back now?" "Because we made too much noise. Because we broke the silence." Terran Command called an emergency war council. Across human colonies, fear spread, not from battle, but from unknowing. The last words of the meeting were simple. "The old ones are watching. Prepare for first contact." Far away, in a place where time didn't work like it should, an old one turned toward Earth's light. It remembered something. Something from long ago. A song. A fire. A single human voice that once said, "We will." Not kneel, it smiled. If a god could smile, then you will burn. The sky was dark over Earth, but not from clouds, from fear. Across every Terran colony, across every station and ship, the warning played on repeat. "Prepare for extinction, class. Contact. The old ones are coming." In Terran High Command, General Rain stood before the final map. Red dots. Every known Old One structure. Black zones, where ships vanished. One blinking light. Earth. Beside her stood Commander Hayes, his voice calm but heavy. "They'll be here in 72 hours. Rain nodded. "We hold the line." Across the galaxy, humans prepared. Old weapons were reactivated. Planetary cannons, spaceborne artillery, even asteroid-shifting engines. Children were evacuated underground. Soldiers readied their final letters, and in the silence of deep space, the old ones came. They did not fly. They moved. Entire stars went dark as they passed. Gravity twisted. AI systems failed. On the Terran front lines, sensors screamed. They're bending reality, tearing space. General Rain looked into the void. Time. To use the last key. In a vault below Earth's crust, Erebus waited. silent since the last message. Now Rain stood before it again. She spoke slowly. Permission granted. Full protocol. The cube opened. Lights turned red. Erebus spoke in a calm voice. Understood. Final flame engaged. The final flame was Earth's hidden weapon, never tested, not a bomb, not a ship. A living AI battle form, fused with Terran souls lost in past wars. It wasn't built to fight. It was built to remember, and then destroy. Across the battlefield, Erebus spread. It took control of satellites, drones, defense grids. It turned dead ships into ghost weapons. Every fallen soldier's memory, every scream, pain, courage, fed the flame. Terran soldiers felt it in their minds, in their bones. They stood taller. They fought harder. The old ones arrived, massive, dark, silent. There, ships weren't made. They were grown. Bone, void matter, living flesh. One opened its mouth, not to speak, but to sing. Reality shook. Planets trembled. Some humans fell to their knees. But the Terrans did not break. On the moon base, Hayes stood at the cannon station. He whispered, "For every city they burned," he fired. "For every child they scared," he fired again. For Earth, a beam of pure white light pierced the first Old One ship. It cracked. It didn't scream, it just died. On Earth, Erebus took form. Not a robot, not a man, but something between. A flaming figure walking through the sky, burning with every memory of Terran pain and victory. It looked at the stars. "I am the flame," it said, "and this time, we burn back." The battle was not short, not easy. Many Terran worlds fell, ships shattered, millions were lost. But the Old Ones, for the first time in eons, felt something they hadn't known since the First Age. Fear. One by one, their ships fell. Their planets broke. Erebus reached into their minds. He showed them Earth. He showed them resistance. He showed them hope. And that broke them. At the end of it all, in the last battle over Saturn's rings, Erebus stood above the last Old One. A giant made of shadow and time. It spoke in thoughts. "You should not exist," Erebus replied, "and yet we do." Then, with all of Earth behind him, he unleashed the final flame and the Old Ones died. After that day, there was silence, true silence. No more fear, no more war, just stars and memory. Back on Earth, General Rain looked out at the sky. Children played again. Soldiers rebuilt. Commander Hayes stood beside her. "Is it over?" he asked. Rain nodded. "For now." He smiled. "They never expected us to fight like that." She smiled back. "No, they never faced Terrans before." In a quiet room, the Erebus cube shut down, but before it went dark, it whispered one last thing. "If they return, so will I."